Welcome to Business Like a Mother, the podcast for moms in business by moms in business. Hey, I'm Jen Morris, here to help you amplify your voice, grow your brand, blaze your trail, and navigate the beautiful chaos of motherhood and entrepreneurship. Let's dive in. Hello, it's Jen. Welcome back to Business Like a Mother, where we talk about what it really looks like to build a business while raising humans in this crazy world. All right. So today I want to reflect back on and share 4 lessons that I learned from running my very first online summit, which happened. It was also called Business Like a Mother, and it took place a couple weeks ago now. It was all the things. It was exciting. It was totally chaotic. It was empowering. It was a little bit scrappy because that is, that's how I do things over here. There's always a little bit of an element of flying by the seat of my pants. And that is one thing motherhood has equipped me well for, doing that. So this episode is for you if you've ever thought about hosting your own event, if you've been curious about running like an online event or an online summit. I will say I would rather run a live event any day, even though in so many ways they can be more work. That is definitely more my energy. But it was really good for me to see how I could take that and apply it in an online space to a summit where for a long time I was really like not team online summit. I've seen some done really well and I modeled what I did off of that. And then there's others that I'm just like, this is like way too much information. This like, I need to actually like work during the day. I can't just be sitting in front of a computer for 12 hours listening to this stuff. So, I think sometimes that's why I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got the call internally, the knowingness that like it was time to do it. But I want to just kind of give you a behind the scenes look of what it actually takes to pull something off like this, especially when you're trying to do it amidst everything else that you have with your business and kids and all that stuff. So let's dive in. All right, lesson 1, done is better than perfect. Okay. This is a lesson you could apply to anything, but specifically for me, having been part of different summits from a user experience, a participant experience, the part of me that's like, I want it to be perfect and be this incredible experience. I had to let go of some things because I knew I didn't have the bandwidth, the budget, or just the energy to do certain things. So, daily while I was pulling this thing together, I had to remind myself of like, done is better than perfect. And things I might notice, most people are not going to notice. So was everything perfect? No. I had to make decisions fast. I had some things that I had to change last minute. But, it still worked. I think one of the biggest things that holds people back is thinking that everything has to be super flawless, right? But again, most of the time, nobody cares, nobody notices, especially when it's something that is free thing. You still want there to be value, of course. You want to deliver a quality experience 100%. But, I think often what people really are responding to is also just the energy, right, around something. And so if you're bringing really good energy to it, if there's going to be a couple little things that aren't exactly as you want them to be, like people aren't necessarily going to flag that. So I didn't need a perfect summit. I needed a brave one because it was my first one. So that's really what I created. Lesson 2, you don't need speakers with huge lists. Okay. So there is a myth out there that if you want your summit or really anything to be successful, that you need big names with giant followings to make it legit. I don't think that's true. So I really selected speakers for my summit based on alignment, not audience sizes. I had no idea what their audience sizes were. I pulled people from my community who I knew, had something that I wanted other people to hear. I asked moms in business who I respected, who were doing powerful work, who had, varying topics, and who I knew if they were able to commit to this would show up with heart. And they 100% did across the board. And we had rich conversations, thoughtful shares. No one was like phoning it in. The people who decided to participate as a guest on the summit, like they did it because they wanted to, not because they had 20,000 followers or because I had 20,000 followers, So big hearts over big lists always wins, in my opinion. And I get a little irritated sometimes when I see people posting for people to be part of their events, but they're like, must have an email list of 10,000 people. And you know what? I don't have an email list that big, but you know what I do have? I have an email list that has like a 78% open rate. And so it's like, you can have a list of 10,000 people, but if your open rate's like 2%, then like, guess what? My smaller email list is actually getting more people opening it than a list that has 10,000 people. And so that's something that has just always bugged me a little bit. I think sometimes that's when you're getting people where it's like style over substance. And something that I knew with this summit, I was not going to have that be a indicator. Now, moving forward, that may change. I might find somebody who is powerful and aligned and totally qualified and happens to also have a large following. And that's a win-win. But for this, that wasn't even something that was on my radar. Because the other thing too is like, if this is my summit, I need to be responsible for getting people to tune in. I don't think it's always the responsibility of people who are guests on your summit or on your podcast. It's a plus 100% if they share it out to their list. But I think sometimes we're making it the responsibility of other people. And that's also has never really sat well with me. So I think we can create a culture where we are sharing things out because we want to be, because we believe in them, not because it's like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Okay, tangent over there. All right. Lesson 3, people crave real connection. Okay. What surprised me the most was not like how the tech went or how I was actually able to be ahead enough to have content done and scheduled. I was really proud of myself because my ADHD brain typically is like, oh my gosh, I got to get the email ready to go out the night before. And it's like, 11 p.m. the night before. And I really was able to carve some time out and get a lot of the writing done and then schedule it, which was great. But I was really unsure if people would really sign up and tune in. I really wasn't sure. I had a goal of 200 people signing up for the online summit, and I think I ended up at about 90. So I didn't hit the goal, and that's okay. It was my first time. I didn't give myself a really long runway to promote it. And again, I don't do a ton on social media. So most of those 90 people were through my email list and through a handful of posts that I did and just people being part of my community. But but I also was like, if 90 people sign up but nobody actually listens, then like, what's the point, right? And so I didn't really know. I didn't know if people were going to sit down and listen to these things, just like podcasts. You can do a great podcast episode, but you don't know who's actually going to listen, right? But the engagement was legit. People were showing up in our Facebook community, connecting. People were texting me and emailing me their thoughts. People were posting on LinkedIn about it. It was really, really awesome. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. Moms were supporting each other, sharing resources, making plans to connect after this, through the summit. It really was magic. And we did a digital networking event as part of it too, that we had an amazing group turn up to, a workshop after the fact that we had a nice turnout for. So, visibility is powerful, and summits can be a really great visibility tool, but like visibility in community is where the magic happens. That's the game changer. So the summit reminded me that when we create space, not just for learning and inspiration, but also where people can be seen and heard and valued and not just sold to, real transformation happens. So this wasn't just like a summit. It was really like this gathering of possibility and creating spaces for people to connect as well. And lesson 4, I think it is really important if you're thinking of doing something like this to know what you want to get from it. Okay. So this one really is key. From the start, I was clear that what I wanted from this summit was not to launch something, to not sell into a really high-end experience, to not like go viral or make 6 figures. I wanted 2 things. One was to grow my email list, which I did, because that is something I'm really focused on right now is growing my email list. And 2, I was curious to see how I could use my existing Facebook group more intentionally. So this is something that I'd seen done really well. I have an awesome human I've done some work with in the past, Marisa Corcoran, and she calls it an online masterclass series called the Copy Chat. It's all about copy and some branding and stuff like that. And she's been doing hers now, I think, for like 8 or 9 years. And so I did model, I have worked with her in the past, learned how to do summits from her. So some of what I did was modeling it from some of how she does it. And there were things I didn't do and things like that too. I didn't do every single thing she did because my audience is a little bit different than hers. And she does use it as like the launch point into one of her more higher ticket offers and communities. But what she did really well was she used a Facebook group. And so I had an existing Facebook group. It's for the most part been sort of used as a place to just post what they have going on. And I've been wondering about how I can be a little more intentional about it. So I decided to use the summit to experiment with that a little bit. And I was really happy with the result. So, having the clarity of like, these are the things I want to do, it gave me ability to track my metrics. And so I was able to go back and be like, how much did I grow my email list? And over the course of a month, I added about 100 people. So not everyone was from the summit, some were from other things, but I think, the summit definitely added a large chunk of people to my email list, and the open rate was really good too on the daily emails for the summit. So I was able to look at that too and say, of the 90 people signed up for the summit, how many people are actually opening the emails? And so I was able to get some actual stats, which can be a little bit harder to get on like just a social media post. And then I was able to start experimenting with my Facebook group. So having that clarity helped me make decisions faster, helped me ditch a lot of the pressure of like then immediately going into sales mode. I have some new things coming, but they're not quite ready. And so I am giving myself a little more time. And in the meantime, just continuing to nurture my community and nurture the people who went through the summit, and trusting that like when I'm ready to launch something, they're going to be there. I don't need to, and you don't need to monetize every second of every day of your business necessarily, or always be running complicated funnels. I kept it simple. I had a purpose, and that purpose helped me guide things more intentionally. So before you launch anything, I think it's really important to get clear on and ask yourself, what do you want to learn? What do you want to gain? And what will make this worth it, even if like no one is clapping, right? Because not everything you build is going to go viral. Not everything has to go viral, right? But everything needs to have a purpose, okay? Now, one thing I will say that I will do differently, because I think it's also important to think about, like, how can I do things differently? I think in the future, I'm going to time it differently because I got the impulse to do this. I didn't have a very long runway. So I did it in March and right up against spring break where I live. And so I felt a little bit rushed to get it out and get everything sort of done before everyone was sort of like checked out for spring break. So I would move the timeline up. I would probably do it in February if I do another one. And then potentially space it out even a little bit more, like over the course of like 2 weeks, and having it be, because I did do a bonus week where people could listen, but I think it could be interesting to play with having it be like a 2-week experience where they get one little audio a day instead of 2 a day and things like that. So there's some, again, there's always opportunity for reflection. Overall, I would say like, I'm really happy with how it went. Done is better than perfect. You don't need giant email lists. People are truly craving connection, even in digital spaces. And again, having some clarity around what it is you're looking for, not what people tell you the outcome needs to be, right? But like, what is it for you is going to be your best strategy. So if you've got an idea you've been sitting on, let this be your permission slip to try it, to go for it, right? And again, it's okay to start small. This online summit, it was not something where, again, I did not have thousands of people. I didn't have a 6-figure launch. I wanted it to be what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be small. Keep it simple. Just go first, go messy, just go. All right. If you were part of the Business Like a Mother Summit, thank you. And if you missed it this time, don't worry. I'm already planning season 2. But thanks for listening today. I hope you got some value from this, and I will catch you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Business Like a Mother. If you love this episode, do me a favor and make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss a moment. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave a review. It helps other moms in business find the show and join this amazing community. Because we are not meant to do motherhood or business alone. Want more? Head to renegademotherhood.com for resources, workshops, and events designed just for moms like you. Until next time, keep growing your business, raising your voice, and blazing your trail like a mother.